Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Jotaro Kujo cosplay. We made the jacket, and the hat, and everything else. And now it's time for the makeup. And this will be a beginner-friendly guide since I have no idea what I'm doing either. Okay, so first thing I do before the makeup is just my regular skincare routine, which is moisturizer, wash my face, and then moisturizer, and sunscreen. And then after that, first thing is primer. So this will act like a base for the makeup and will help kind of flatten out my skin tone. It's basically like plastic for makeup. And this part's optional. I have some color corrector. This is basically for parts of my face that are particularly dark or discolored, which is my horrible bags under my eyes. So you just put like a tiny bit, as in like a couple dots. Just like that much. And then I take my beauty blender and just blend it out. You can already tell, like, my eyes look a bit brighter now and less tired. Next is going to be my foundation. So I'm just gonna put a few pumps onto my hand, like so, and then put some on my beauty blender, and then dab it onto my face. And once it's all on there, then I can start blending it out. Now, I'm not too concerned about my forehead since most of it's gonna be covered by the hat. So I'm basically just doing the bare minimum, which is gonna be just a bit above my brow line. And this is the beauty blender that I use. It's kind of a cheap generic one that I got from Shoppers Drug Mart, but it works totally fine. So you should get a shade of foundation that matches your skin tone. If you have no idea what that is, just ask the employee at your makeup store and they can do a color match for you. Okay. Next is very important step, setting powder. This stuff is like a powder that kind of locks in all of your liquid makeup, which is super important because we're going to be at a convention wearing this makeup all day, so we want it to last a long time. So I'm just going to put some on my brush and then just going to essentially dust it all over my face wherever I put liquid makeup. This is the set of brushes that I use, the Sephora starter brush set. Nothing but good things to say about it. You don't need this set exactly, but you'll just need a big fluffy powder brush, a precise brow brush, and a larger and smaller size contour brush. Okay, face is dusted. The next step is to sketch out the contours. So I'm gonna take my contour palette and then my thinnest brush, which is gonna be my brow brush. And I'm gonna take my darkest shade, which is this one, and then I'm gonna use it to sketch out my face. So I'm gonna do the cheeks like this, and then the sides of the nose, and then the bottom of the nose, and then the chin, which is this little triangle thing, and then the brows we'll do later. The purpose of this is to sketch out the shapes before actually contouring, which makes it much easier. Then I'm going to take a little bit bigger of a brush to actually apply the contour. So I'm going to do my second lightest shade, which is this one right here. And then I'm going to line the inside of the lines. I put the contour on the line and then blend it outward. So like that. So you see how it starts in the corner and then fades outward? Then I do that for all the other spots. The reason we're doing this is because the black lines are going to go on these spots, but when you put just black lines on their own, they look very flat. So the contour gives them more shape, kind of like shading. So this is going to go onto the insides of the cheeks, the bottom of the nose, and the chin. And then for the eyebrows, the way that I like to do this is I furrow my actual eyebrows like this, and then I just put some contour into the natural divots that appear. Like that. And then I just put a little bit more from the bottom of my brows, extending to my nose. Just to add a bit more shape to my face. And then on the sides of my nose like this, to highlight the bridge of my nose. And here's what it looks like. And then I'm gonna go back in with my darkest shade, which is this one. And then particular parts, I'm gonna go back in and then darken them even more. So I'm just gonna add some more to the cheeks. Again, starting from the line and then blending outward. We're basically adding even more shading to the particularly deep and shaded parts, which are the cheeks, the furrows of the brows, and the bottom of the nose. And then next I have my concealer. So this concealer is 2 shades brighter than my actual skin tone because we're going to use it to brighten up certain parts of my face. So first I'm going to add concealer to the big ones. The first one is the sides of the cheeks. Next one is a little bit under my eyes. And then a little bit on my laugh lines. And then on the bridge of my nose. And then I'm gonna furrow my brows again. I'm gonna put a little bit on the high ridges of my brows. And then I'm gonna take my beauty blender and then blend it out.
And here's how it looks with the contour and highlighting done. It looks insane, but it'll all come together once the lines are on there.
Okay, and then I'm gonna take my setting powder again, and then I'm gonna fluff up my face to lock in all the hard work that I've just done. All right, face is dusted again. Before I do anything else, there's a bunch of foundation on my lips, so I'm just gonna use some makeup wipes. I'm gonna wipe that off. Just whenever you use makeup wipes, make sure to be careful, because makeup wipes wipe off a lot of makeup. So you don't want to accidentally wipe off a crap ton of your hard work. Okay, next is the fun part, which is eyeliner. I really suggest you use a liquid eyeliner like this that has a pointed tip so you can get those accurate, really bold lines that you see in Jojo. So I'm gonna start with my eyes first because that's the hardest part for me. So I want to get that over with. So I'm just doing a really simple line on my upper eyelid just to make my eyes look a bit more outlined. Like, just like that. Literally just that. That's it. And then that's it for the upper eyelids.
Then above the eye, I'm drawing a second set of eyelids that kind of match the shape of my eyelid itself, and added some eyelashes to it. It kind of makes your eyes look more anime-esque.
So the way that I do the brows is I line my actual eyebrows first, and then I'm just gonna fill that in. Like that. I'm just gonna do the same for my other brow. Okay, and now that my brows are filled in, you see the top edge of my eyebrow? I'm gonna extend that outward like this. So you see how it sticks out more? So I'm gonna connect that corner here with the corner of my actual eyebrow. So I'm basically giving myself a more angled looking eyebrow, which looks like that. So here it is in comparison with my other eyebrow. And then I do the same for the other one.
For the inside of the brows, I drew a line going from the inner tip of my eyebrow, curving upwards, then filled that shape in, creating kind of like a curvy triangle. Then did the exact same thing for the other brow. And now the brows are done. But there's more that we can do. We can add some furrowing. So I added 2 curved vertical lines between my brows, then furrowed my actual brows again, and added some more lines to the ridges and high points. And it just adds a little more angry flair to the brows. Makes me look real mad all the time.
So next up is the bridge of my nose, which I'm just gonna outline the sketch lines I did earlier. I like to go a bit lighter with the nose, but you can go heavier with it. And then the bottom of the nose, exact same thing. Just gonna outline the sketch lines I did earlier. And then below the nose line, I'm gonna put some hatch lines.
And this is the end result. By this point, your eyeliner might be running dry. If this happens, put the cap back on and try shaking it. If it's still dry, place it upside down with something to prop it up, and then just leave it for a bit. Next up are the cheeks, which are these 3 lines that outline the sides of the face. Take your time with these because they're very front and center, but also very easy to mess up, like I'm doing here.
And here's what the cheeks looks like. Really brings out the Jotaro look.
For the lips, I just outline the middle portions of my upper and lower lip. The upper lip just gets a simple line, but the lower lip gets a much thicker line since it naturally gets more shading, which looks like this. In the anime and manga, he has these hatch lines on his upper lip giving some shading. You can totally add this too, I just don't find that it's worth it because they get smudged so easily, so I just don't add them. And then the chin, which is just the simple arrow shaped thingy.
After that, it's just hatch lines. So you can add as many or as little hatch lines as you want, depending on how intense you want the look to be.
The more you add, the more harsh your face is gonna look. But the main ones are these inner cheek lines, some lines in the bridge of the nose, and extra brow furrows here and there. And the final result is this.
And lastly is the neck. So the way that I'm gonna do this is I take a fairly medium-sized brush, and then I put my second darkest shade of contour, and then I flex my neck muscles like this, and then put contour into the natural divots of my neck. Basically the same method as the brows.
There isn't a set guide for how this looks, since it'll depend on your own neck shape. But just think, if there's a divot there, add a bit of contour. Then I also added some contour to the bottom of my jaw for some extra shading. And then I took my darker shade and added it to the deepest crevices on my neck to give it even more shading. Then I took my eyeliner again and lined the edges of the contour, and kept flexing my neck, adding lines along whatever ridges and high points stick out. Then added more contour onto any places that felt a bit too flat, and finished it off with some random hatch lines here and there. So the final neck looks like this. And the last step is the setting spray. This is super important because it locks everything in and keeps it from smudging and smearing. And here's how the final face looks. Now let's finally put it all together. First, take the tank top and clip the back of the gray strap to it. Then put it on and button up the front of the strap. Then the 2 belts. The bottoms are just black dress shorts, but you can use dress pants to be more accurate. And the shoes are just generic school shoes. You can use whatever dress shoes as an alternative. And then the main pieces, the jacket and the chain. But first,
I'm a dumbass. You know why? Because I forgot to put the contacts on.
so yeah, put the contacts on before the makeup. These are the ones that I bought from Pinky Paradise, which sounds like a sex toy store, but they actually sell really good contacts. These ones are meant for robotic cyberpunk looks, but the black circle around the eye fits with the Jojo art style as well. Then lastly, the hat, and the cosplay is finally done. Here's what the upper body looks like. And since my legs are exposed, I did put makeup on them using the exact same method as the neck. So this is what the lower body looks like. Plus the mugshot sign, and the coffee gum, and I can even do some poses. Watcha! Kaboom! And that's the Jotaro cosplay done. Okay, bye.